The sleek alien vessel gleamed under Earth's summer sun, its polished surface reflecting the gathered crowd of military personnel and government officials. Colonel Ja Kim shifted uncomfortably in his dress uniform, sweat trickling down his back despite the cooling systems working overtime. This was humanity's big moment. First contact with the Galactic Council's diplomatic delegation. The landing pad at the newly constructed Terran Space Command buzzed with nervous energy. Security teams tried to look both alert and non-threatening, their weapons deliberately holstered but within easy reach. Colonel Kim had personally selected each member of the welcoming committee, including the young Lieutenant Han, who had an impressive record of diplomatic missions on Earth. The alien ship's entry ramp descended with a soft hiss, revealing three tall, willowy figures. Their iridescent robes sparkled as they glided down toward the human delegation. The lead alien, who had introduced itself as the High Representative, stood nearly 8 feet tall with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. "Greetings, primitive species," the High Representative's translator buzzed. "We come to welcome you into the enlightened embrace of the Galactic Council. Your quaint attempts at spacefaring have not gone unnoticed, and we have decided to grant you the privilege of our guidance." Colonel Kim felt his jaw tighten, but maintained his diplomatic smile. Next to him, Lieutenant Han shifted slightly, and Kim could practically feel the young officer's growing irritation. The High Representative continued, its voice becoming increasingly condescending. "Your species has shown remarkable progress, considering your obvious limitations. Under our superior civilization's guidance, you may eventually rise above your current savage state." "Yeah, right," Lieutenant Han muttered, just loud enough for the alien's sensitive hearing to pick up. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The High Representative's silvery skin flushed a deep purple, its translator emitting a high-pitched screech of outrage. "How dare you question our superiority? This is unprecedented insolence." Before Colonel Kim could intervene, the alien delegation's security systems activated. Shimmering force fields erupted around them, and what they had claimed were ceremonial staffs transformed into energy weapons. "This species is clearly too barbaric for inclusion in the Galactic Council," the High Representative declared, firing a warning shot that left a smoking crater in the landing pad. Chaos erupted as security teams rushed to protect the human officials. Colonel Kim grabbed Lieutenant Han and dove behind a concrete barrier just as energy bolts began flying in all directions. The aliens, apparently unfamiliar with the concept of proportional response, were now treating a sarcastic comment as an act of war. "With all due respect, sir," Lieutenant Han shouted over the chaos. "They started it." Kim couldn't argue with that logic as he watched the alien delegation retreat to their ship, still firing randomly at the human installations. Their parting message, broadcast across all frequencies, declared Earth a quarantine zone of dangerous primitives. In the smoking aftermath, as medical teams treated minor injuries and damage control units assessed the situation, General Park arrived on the scene. The general surveyed the destruction with an expression that mixed frustration with something that looked surprisingly like amusement. "So," General Park said, helping Colonel Kim to his feet, "it seems our first attempt at galactic diplomacy ended with us being labeled as dangerous primitives because we didn't show proper respect to our superiors." He actually made air quotes around the last word. "Sir, I take full responsibility for Lieutenant Han's," Kim began, but General Park waved him off. Before Lee could respond, an alarm blared through the facility. The training course suddenly shifted, panels sliding and obstacles rearranging. Private Dai smoothly transitioned from his upside-down position into a forward roll, never stopping his calculations. Sergeant Moon's team instantly switched from casual banter to coordinated action, their seemingly random computer activities coalescing into a synchronized cyber assault. Within minutes, they had detected, countered, and disabled a simulated alien invasion force, all while still sharing cat videos and completing takeout orders. "That," Captain Lee said to the stunned alien observers, "is the point. Your military forces expect structure, discipline, and predictable responses. You can't predict what you don't understand, and you definitely don't understand us. The training continued throughout the day. Recruits learned to combine parkour with quantum mechanics, practiced psychological warfare through strategic use of dad jokes, and mastered the art of turning bureaucratic paperwork into an offensive weapon. Remember, Lee called out to her troops, "Confusion is our ally. If you understand what you're doing, you're probably doing it wrong." The alien observers had long since given up trying to take notes. Their attempts to classify and categorize human training methods had resulted in several crash tablets and one minor mental breakdown. As the day drew to a close, Captain Lee gathered her troops for debriefing in what had once been the mall's food court. The smell of various Earth cuisines wafted through the air, another deliberate choice, as food had proven to be surprisingly effective in disrupting alien concentration. "Good work today, people," she announced. "Special mention goes to Private Da for successfully solving the quantum mechanics problem while creating a viral meme about the Galactic Council's dress code. And Sergeant Moon's team has set a new record for most alien systems confused by synchronized cat videos." The alien observers had retreated to their designated area, huddling together and muttering in their native language. Their confusion was exactly what the Fukov force was aiming for. Lee reviewed the day's training data on her tablet. The results were promising. Reaction times were improving, creative solutions were becoming more instinctive, and the ability to multitask between the absurd and the tactical was reaching new heights. "Tomorrow," she announced to her troops, "we'll be introducing the new Dancing Through Diplomacy program. I expect everyone to be prepared to negotiate peace treaties while performing interpretive dance." The humans cheered. The aliens whimpered. As the recruits filed out, Captain Lee noticed Private Da lingering behind. "Something on your mind, Private?" "Ma'am," he said, standing at attention while absent-mindedly solving a Rubik's Cube behind his back. "Do you think this will really work when we actually face hostile aliens?" Lee smiled. "Private, do you know why I was chosen to run this training program? Because I understand that in a galaxy full of species that have been doing things the same way for millennia, our greatest weapon is their inability to comprehend why we do anything the way we do it." She gestured to the bizarre obstacle course visible through the windows. "Every laugh, every meme, every moment of confusion we create is another crack in their understanding of warfare. They can't defeat what they can't predict, and humans are nothing if not unpredictable." Private Da nodded, finally cracking a smile. "Permission to test my new theory about using interpretive dance to explain thermonuclear physics, Mom." "Permission granted, Private. Just try not to break the space-time continuum this time. The paperwork for reality breaches is a nightmare." As Captain Lee watched her recruit bounce away, already practicing his dance moves, she couldn't help but feel proud. The Fukov force might not be what anyone expected from a military unit, but that was exactly the point. In a galaxy that took itself too seriously, they were humanity's answer to the question no one had thought to ask. What happens when you combine military precision with pure, unrestrained human chaos? The answer, as the increasingly distressed alien observers were learning, was something both beautiful and terrifying to behold. The massive Centaurian warship loomed over Earth's colony on New Eden, its weapon systems charged and ready to obliterate the settlement below. Inside the colony's defense command center, Major Hume calmly straightened his tie and adjusted his reading glasses. "Send them the first wave," he ordered, his voice steady as he watched the massive screens displaying the hostile fleet. Lieutenant Jin, seated at her station surrounded by stacks of paperwork, grinned as she hit the transmit button. "Deploying Form XJ789B, sir. Initial bureaucratic offensive commencing." The effect was almost immediate. The Centaurian fleet's aggressive approach suddenly halted as their communication systems were flooded with an 800-page document written entirely in Comic Sans font. The form, titled Preliminary Application for Hostile Action Permit, Standard Version, was a masterpiece of bureaucratic warfare. "Sir, they're attempting to decode the document. one of the analysts reported, trying to suppress a laugh. Their AI systems are struggling with the concept of required fields marked with an asterisk. Major Yoon nodded, satisfaction evident in his expression. Send them the appendices. Lieutenant Jin's fingers flew over her keyboard. Deploying supplementary forms A through Z, sir. All in triplicate, with randomly highlighted sections requiring notarization by a minimum of 7 different species authorities. The Centaurian fleet's formation began to show signs of confusion. Their perfectly aligned attack pattern dissolved as ship commanders attempted to make sense of the bureaucratic assault. The main screen showed their vessels moving in increasingly erratic patterns. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Centaurian flagship," announced the communications officer. The alien commander appeared on screen, its tentacled face showing signs of distress. "What is the meaning of this? We demand an explanation for Section 47. Subsection C, Paragraph 12, which requires a detailed history of our species' tax filing procedures for the last 3 centuries. Major Yoon adjusted his glasses again. The picture of bureaucratic authority. "I'm afraid that's a required field, Commander. We cannot process your invasion request without proper documentation. Also, please note that all forms must be filled out in black ink only. No digital signatures accepted." The alien commander's tentacles writhed in frustration. "This is absurd. We are here to conquer your colony." "I understand your position," Yoon replied smoothly, "but without the properly filed intention to conquer forms, ICF 925/B through ICF 925/X, we cannot legally acknowledge your invasion attempt. Additionally, you'll need to submit an environmental impact statement regarding any planned orbital bombardment." Behind him, Lieutenant Jin's team was already preparing the next wave. They had discovered early in the war that most alien species, despite their advanced technology, were completely unprepared for human-level bureaucracy. Their societies, focused on efficiency and logical progression, had no defense against the deliberate inefficiency of paperwork. "Major," Lieutenant Jin called out, "they're attempting to bypass the form submission process by launching a cyber attack. Deploy the terms and conditions defense," Yoon ordered calmly. The Centaurian fleet's computer systems were immediately flooded with a 1,500-page terms and conditions agreement, complete with randomly placed checkboxes and a requirement to initial every page. Their advanced AI systems, attempting to process the document, began showing signs of severe confusion. "Sir, their lead ships are starting to power down," reported the tactical officer. "It appears their systems are crashing while trying to comprehend our return policy section." Major Yoon allowed himself a small smile. The Fukoff Forces Department of Bureaucratic Warfare had spent months perfecting their weapons. Every form was designed to be just plausible enough to seem necessary while being completely impossible to actually complete. "Send them the insurance claim forms," he ordered, "and make sure to include the clause about pre-existing conditions in their invasion plans." The Centaurian fleet was now in complete disarray. Several ships had their systems locked in endless loops trying to calculate the correct number of copies needed for each form. Others were desperately trying to locate notaries certified in both human and Centaurian legal systems. The alien commander reappeared on screen, looking decidedly less threatening. "Please, we just want to invade your colony. Why are you requiring us to provide 3 forms of identification and proof of address from the last 5 years? "I apologize for any inconvenience," Major Yoon replied, his voice dripping with professional courtesy, "but these are standard procedures. Perhaps you'd like to schedule an appointment to discuss your invasion plans. Our next available slot is in approximately 8 to 10 business months." The final blow came when Lieutenant Jin deployed their secret weapon, the request for extension of hostile action timeline form, which paradoxically required approval before it could be submitted for consideration. Within hours, the mighty Centaurian fleet retreated, their commanders broken by the sheer weight of human bureaucracy. Their parting message was a desperate plea to never send them paperwork again. As the threat subsided, Major Hume gathered his team for a debriefing. "Excellent work, everyone. Lieutenant Jin, your idea to include a mandatory survey about their invasion experience was particularly inspired." "Thank you, sir," Jin replied proudly. "I learned from the best. Nothing defeats an advanced alien civilization, quite like requiring them to fill out feedback forms in quintuplicate." As they celebrated their bloodless victory, Major Hume couldn't help but appreciate the irony. Humanity had spent centuries complaining about bureaucracy, only to discover it was their most effective weapon against alien aggression. "Sir," Lieutenant Jin asked as they wrapped up, "should we prepare the tax forms for next time?" Major Yun's eyes gleamed with bureaucratic malice. "Lieutenant, I believe it's time to introduce the galaxy to the concept of annual audits." The war would continue, but as long as the Fukoff Forces Department of Bureaucratic Warfare had paper and ink, Earth's colonies would remain safe behind their wall of red tape. Commander Song sat in her command chair, surrounded by screens filled with what appeared to be complete nonsense to any outside observer. Cat pictures with misspelled captions, ancient rage comics, and deliberately cursed images floated across her displays, while Specialist Kang and her team worked furiously at their stations. The Arcturus Collective, a highly advanced telepathic species that had been threatening Earth's outer colonies, had no idea what was about to hit them. "Status report on Operation Denk Defense," Commander Song called out, trying to keep a straight face as she reviewed a particularly absurd image macro. "The first wave is ready, Commander," Specialist Kang responded, her fingers dancing across her keyboard. "We've prepared a focused burst of early 2020s meme culture, starting with cats demanding cheeseburgers and escalating to deep-fried philosophical questions about beans." The Situation Room of the Fukoff Forces Memetic Warfare Division looked more like a teenager's bedroom than a military command center. The walls were covered in printed memes, each carefully selected for maximum cognitive impact against telepathic species. The air smelled faintly of energy drinks and determination. "The Arcturus fleet is within range," reported Lieutenant Park from the tactical station. "Their telepathic scanners are active and attempting to read our surface thoughts." Commander Song smiled. This was exactly what they had been waiting for. "Begin transmission. Let's show them what human creativity can do to a hive mind." Specialist Kang initiated the upload sequence. The first wave of memes hit the Arcturus fleet's telepathic network like a sledgehammer of pure confusion. Images of cats in business attire making nonsensical financial decisions flooded their collective consciousness. "Sir, we're detecting signs of confusion in their fleet formation," Lieutenant Park announced. "Their ships are starting to drift out of alignment." The Arcturus Collective, used to the ordered, logical thoughts of their own kind, had no defense against the chaos of human internet humor. Their telepathic network, designed to share clear, coherent thoughts, was being overwhelmed by pictures of frogs on unicycles and incomprehensible text about Wednesday being the day of amphibians. "Deploy the second wave," Commander Song ordered. "Release the cursed images." Specialist Kang's team launched their carefully curated collection of deliberately unsettling images. Photos of things that looked almost right, but were subtly wrong in ways that grew more disturbing the longer you looked at them. The effect on the Arcturus fleet was immediate and devastating. Their perfectly synchronized movement patterns dissolved into chaos as their hive mind tried to process images that defied logical explanation. "Commander," called out Ensign Lee from the monitoring station, "we're picking up distress signals from their flagship. They're demanding we stop transmitting cognitively harmful nonsense into their network." "Send them the Rickroll," Commander Song replied with a wicked grin. The classic video, weaponized with modern memetic enhancements, was broadcast directly into the Arcturus collective consciousness. The aliens, with no cultural context for the phenomenon, were completely unprepared for the experience of being rickrolled. "Their lead ships are starting to retreat," Lieutenant Park reported, trying to suppress his laughter. "The collective can't maintain coherence under the assault of what they're calling primitive thought viruses." Commander Song stood up, watching with satisfaction as the mighty Arcturus fleet began to withdraw. Time to finish this. Specialist Kang, deploy our secret weapon. Kang's eyes widened. The law said it. Sir, are you sure? That's some dangerous memetics. Do it. Their hive mind needs to learn that some human concepts simply cannot be understood. The iconic four-panel comic, twisted and abstracted beyond recognition, yet somehow still maintaining its fundamental lostness, was transmitted directly into the Arcturus collective consciousness. The result was spectacular. Their entire fleet simultaneously experienced what could only be described as a blue screen of death for telepathic beings. Sir, they're broadcasting the surrender message, Ensign Lee announced. They're begging us to stop sending them incomprehensible thought patterns that violate the laws of mental geometry. Commander Song nodded solemnly. Send them one final message. A Doge meme saying much surrender, very peace. Wow. As the Arcturus fleet retreated in disarray, the command center erupted in cheers. Specialist Kang's team had proven that in the age of interstellar warfare, the strongest weapon wasn't always the biggest gun. Sometimes it was a perfectly timed meme that made absolutely no sense. Well done, everyone. Commander Song addressed her crew. Today we've proven that millions of years of human shitposting wasn't just killing time. It was combat training. Later, during the debriefing, Specialist Kang approached Commander Song with a concerned look. Sir, do you think we went too far with the loss edit? The Geneva Convention never covered mimetic warfare. Song shook her head. Kang, in a galaxy full of species that communicate through pure logic and ordered thought, our greatest defense is our ability to create and understand things that make absolutely no sense. That's not a weapon. It's just who we are. As they reviewed the battle footage, Commander Song couldn't help but feel proud. The Fukov Force's Mimetic Warfare Division had taken humanity's strange online culture and turned it into a shield protecting Earth's colonies. In a universe of advanced civilizations, humanity's most powerful weapon turned out to be its ability to find humor in chaos. Sir, Specialist Kang called out as they were wrapping up, should we begin preparing the next phase? I have some ideas involving deep-fried philosophy, memes combined with pictures of bread stapled to trees. Commander Song smiled. Specialist, I believe it's time to show the galaxy why humans should never be allowed unrestricted access to image editing software. The meme war would continue, but Earth had found its edge. In a galaxy of logic and order, sometimes the best defense was a perfectly timed bottom text. Steam rose from the freshly brewed espresso as Captain Ho carefully placed the cup in front of the Rigelian ambassador. The alien's four eyes dilated at the mere aroma, its scaled skin taking on a slight purple tinge of anticipation. Our finest Arabica blend, Your Excellency, Captain Ho said smoothly, watching as the ambassador's trembling appendages reached for the small cup. Prepared exactly the way you prefer, triple shot with a hint of caramel. The coffee shop, cleverly named Starbrews, Diplomatic Edition, was strategically located in the heart of the Galactic Council's primary space station. Its interior looked exactly like any Earth coffee shop, complete with soft lighting, comfortable seating, and the constant hiss of espresso machines. Dr. Min sat in her usual corner, pretending to work on her tablet while actually recording the ambassador's reaction to the latest blend. Her research had revolutionized Earth's diplomatic strategy when she discovered that human coffee acted as a powerful but harmless psychoactive substance for most alien species. The Rigelian ambassador took a careful sip, all four eyes closing in obvious pleasure. Remarkable, the alien's translator hummed. Simply remarkable. About those trade negotiations we were discussing, Captain Ho maintained his professional demeanor, though inside he was grinning. The ambassador had arrived 2 hours ago, demanding reduced tariffs on Earth goods. Now, 3 espressos later, the alien was practically offering to pay Earth to take their resources. Perhaps another cup while we discuss the details, Ho suggested innocently. At a nearby table, A group of Centaurian diplomats were on their fifth round of lats, their tentacles wrapped contentedly around their oversized mugs. They had been threatening war last week. Now they were arguing about which Earth coffee blend was superior. Dr. Min's tablet beeped softly as it recorded another successful diplomatic conversion. Her initial discovery had been almost accidental. A spilled cup of coffee during a tense negotiation had led to an unexpectedly agreeable alien representative. "Captain," she called quietly, "you might want to see these readings. The new Brazilian dark roast is showing some interesting effects on their neural patterns." Ho excused himself from the ambassador's table and joined Dr. Min. The data on her screen showed complex wave patterns that meant little to him, but her excitement was clear. "Look at this," she pointed to a particular graph. "The caffeine molecules are binding to their neural receptors in a way that enhances feelings of goodwill and reduces aggressive impulses. It's like a truth serum and mood enhancer combined, but completely natural and perfectly legal." The Foucault force had immediately recognized the potential of this discovery. Within months, they had established coffee shops at every major diplomatic hub in known space. Each one was staffed by carefully trained baristas who were actually high-ranking military officers. "Sir," Lieutenant Park, disguised as a barista, called from behind the counter. "The Arcturus delegation just arrived. They're asking about the drink called Frappuccino that their cultural analysts reported on." Captain Ho nodded sagely. The Arcturus Collective, once their fiercest enemies, had been particularly susceptible to frozen coffee drinks. Their telepathic hive mind apparently found the brain freeze sensation fascinating. "Prepare their usual order," he instructed, "and add an extra shot of espresso to each drink. They're here to discuss military base permissions near Earth space." Dr. Min made a note on her tablet. "The extra shot should make them approximately 27% more likely to agree to our proposed limitations." The coffee shop had become Earth's most effective weapon in interstellar politics. No species could resist the allure of perfectly brewed coffee, and none of them seemed to realize that their growing addiction was carefully managed by the Foucault force. The Rigelian ambassador was now humming contentedly, signing trade agreements with one hand while signaling for another espresso with the other. The Centaurians had progressed to discussing the possibility of opening their own coffee shop franchise, unaware that the licensing agreement would give Earth significant influence in their sector. "Captain," Dr. Min whispered urgently, "we have a situation. The Proximan delegation just walked in, and our data shows they've been trying to develop their own coffee plants." Behind him stood the architects of Earth's unconventional success. Captain Sundley with her chaos theory training programs, Major Hume clutching his beloved stack of bureaucratic forms, Commander Song still quietly uploading memes to the galactic network, Captain Ho subtly serving coffee to the assembled diplomats, and Colonel Bai handling gift shop receipts that could fund a small fleet. In recognition of Earth's unique contributions to galactic peacekeeping, the High Representative announced, their translator struggling to find appropriate words, "We hereby acknowledge the Foucault force as an official military branch within Council space." General Kim maintained his serious expression, though inside he was laughing at the irony. Just 2 years ago, these same aliens had dismissed humans as primitive savages. Now they were studying Earth's chaos doctrine with religious devotion. The ceremony chamber itself reflected this transformation. Alien military observers sat in neat rows, frantically taking notes as they tried to understand how a species that weaponized cat videos and paperwork had become a galactic superpower. Some were still nursing their coffee addictions, while others wore souvenir t-shirts under their formal robes. "Supreme Commander," the High Representative continued, "would you share some insights into your military doctrine?" Kim stepped up to the podium, surveying the eager faces before him. "The principle is simple," he began, watching several alien scribes activate their recording devices. "When faced with a logical, organized opponent, become chaos incarnate." The assembled aliens murmured in confusion, exactly as he expected. Behind him, his team struggled to maintain their professional composure. For example, Kim continued, while your fleets were practicing precision formation flying, we were teaching our pilots to navigate while solving riddles and making memes. When you developed advanced AI for combat, we confused them with cat videos. When you threatened our colonies, we buried you in paperwork. The alien observers were now frantically recording every word, though their expressions suggested they understood nothing. Perfect. The true strength of the Fukov force, Kim explained, lies not in our ability to outfight our opponents, but in our talent for making them question their own sanity. He gestured to his team. Captain Lee's training programs deliberately make no sense. Major Yoon's bureaucratic warfare division has forms that reference forms that don't exist. Commander Song's meme warfare has caused 17 different species to question the nature of reality itself. The High Representative's translator crackled as they tried to process this information. But how can such chaos be effective? Because, Kim smiled, in a universe that expects logic and order, the unexpected is the ultimate weapon. While you were preparing for rational combat, we were developing weapons-grade confusion. The ceremony continued with presentations from each department. Captain Ho demonstrated the diplomatic power of coffee by serving his special blend to the council members, who soon found themselves agreeing to trade terms they hadn't meant to discuss. Colonel Baz's gift shop statistics showed that the Fukov force had actually turned a profit while defending Earth. The future of warfare, Kim concluded, isn't about who has the biggest guns or the most advanced technology. It's about who can make their enemies too confused to use their weapons effectively. As he spoke, Lieutenant Jin was quietly distributing feedback forms about the ceremony. Forms that somehow referenced events that hadn't happened yet and required signatures from fictional departments. The alien military observers were now in various states of distress. Some were trying to decode memes that Commander Song had secretly uploaded to their tablets. Others were attempting to fill out Major Yoon's impossible forms. A few were already addicted to Captain Ho's coffee. In conclusion, Kim announced, we look forward to sharing our knowledge with our galactic allies. Our first training session on bureaucratic warfare begins in either 2 weeks or 3 days ago, depending on which form you've already failed to file. The chamber erupted in confused discussions as the aliens tried to process this statement. Kim's team stood proudly behind him, each representing a different aspect of Earth's chaotic approach to galactic defense. Supreme Commander, the High Representative asked hesitantly, is there any way to predict or counter your strategies? Of course, Kim replied with a perfectly straight face. All the information is available in our public records office, which may or may not exist, on forms that must be requested using forms that can only be obtained by already having them. As the ceremony concluded, Kim watched with satisfaction as alien military officials rushed to study human culture, not realizing that understanding Earth's chaos was impossible by definition. Sir, Captain Lee whispered, should we tell them that half our success was just making things up as we went along? Kim shook his head. Let them study. The more they try to understand our chaos doctrine, the more effective it becomes. The Fukov force had achieved something unprecedented. They had made confusion itself into a respected military strategy. As alien species throughout the galaxy attempted to copy their methods, they only succeeded in making themselves more vulnerable to Earth's particular brand of creative chaos. Commander Song, Kim called quietly, please upload a picture of a cat asking for cheeseburgers to their classified military networks. Label it as Top Secret Earth Military Doctrine. As the confused aliens filed out of the chamber, many clutching coffee cups and souvenir badges, Kim reflected on humanity's journey from dismissed primitives to feared military strategists. Their greatest weakness, their seeming inability to do anything in a logical, organized manner, had become their greatest strength. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly how the Fukov force liked it.